Founder Space, Startup Supercharged. I'm Captain Hawk, CEO of Founder Space, the leading global startup accelerator. I'm also author of the award-winning books, Make Elephants Fly, Surviving a Startup, and The 5 Forces. Welcome to the Founder Space podcast. Who do I have today for you? I have Chris Carr. He is the founder and CEO of Farotech. He is a digital marketing expert, and he is also into AI for marketing. And that is what we're going to talk about today. There's been so much buzz out there around ChatGPT and all sorts of other tools out there like Jasper for creating marketing campaigns using artificial intelligence. We're going to find out from Chris what you should be thinking about and what should be on your radar. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell us a little about your background?
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Chris Carr. I started a company. It's a digital marketing agency located just outside the city of Philadelphia called Farotech. I started this company, ironically, about 22 years ago. January 1st was our
You've been in the trenches for a long time.
Forever. Yeah, I've seen ups and downs from the economy to technology shakeups to you name it, pandemics. I've seen it all. I think one of the things that would make our company very unique is that we believe in something called systems systems rather than solutions. And what happens is that a lot of times in marketing, it's very easy to get completely caught up in maybe one or two approaches, and then you basically neglect everything else. And then what happens is that one of those approaches might have an algorithm change, or the landscape might change. And then all of a sudden, you really wish that you just didn't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, and that happens all the time. You put a ton of work. I remember Vine, the social network. I had people who put a ton of work into Vine, and then it went away. It disappeared. And all their followers and everything else, if you put all your eggs in that Vine basket, you would have lost them all. A lot of people did the same with Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse was the rage. They were like putting huge amount, all their effort into Clubhouse. And, I don't hear about Clubhouse at all anymore. It just sort of dropped off the radar.
It's really crazy. But what can happen is that you also can do something that we call RAM. And what RAM is random acts of marketing. And so what that means is that you're always trying to be up ahead of the curve on hacks and trends and Clubhouse and, sometimes podcasts when you're not ready to be in podcasts, or TikTok.
So you do all these little things that don't add up to anything, right? They don't.
Yeah. And a lot of them feel good to do. And I read a blog about that, so we should do that. Or sometimes they're even great things like preparing for your conference or seasonality and things like that. But what you realize is that we use an expression, it's like from a 90s Dunkin' Donuts commercial, like you're always making the donuts.
Yes.
Right. But the problem is that your results don't compound. And so when you have a systematic approach and when marketing is done right, what happens is that you have the opportunity to develop it in a way that month over month, basically what happens is the things compound over and over and over again. And so what happens is organizations will hire a company like us to build the engine, to build the machine. And then all of the fun marketing stuff they want to do on top, they can still do.
Yeah, they can do all the little random stuff. But what you need is a really systematic analytical marketing approach where you are engaging with your targeted customers and you're figuring out how exactly to get them in your funnel and how to take them through the whole process. Not
establish yourself. Yes. You establish yourself as a thought leader, publish consistently, promote consistently. And ultimately, if you have a system, it should generate leads, nurture leads into clients, and then literally have a formal strategy or referral strategy to develop raving fans of your product, services, mission, and value.
Right. And how do you convert them? How do you take advantage of their passion for your products and actually translate that into leads and conversions? Like there's a big leap of people can be passionate about your product, but you don't give them a way to actually act upon it.
That's right.
so that you need
That's right.
that whole system. So that's really important for entrepreneurs to understand. Yet a lot of entrepreneurs, they're busy, they're doing 100 different things and marketing, and they feel like they put a lot of time into marketing, but they don't put it in a systematic way. And in a strategic way. And it's sort of like squandering that time. Like you can be like, I was talking yesterday to somebody about Instagram. Like you can put a ton of time into Instagram, but a lot of Instagram, the conversion rate into an actual customer who actually buys your product and services is usually really low for most products and services.
It's tough.
So you're just squandering that time.
Yeah. As opposed to maybe something like, let's say hypothetically SEO, and SEO is an annuity. And so when you publish
once you set it up, it doesn't
pays
take any
every
time.
month.
Yes.
It pays every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what we try to do is we try to develop a system of creating assets and content that become an annuity. That's how it compounds. The other
once you set up a referral system, an affiliate program, all these things, they can just run on their own. They don't require your time. Whereas social media, you're constantly having to put in time. And
it's crazy. And for maybe 200 likes, you put on all that time for maybe 200 likes, 200 views, and then they're on to the next, and they're doom scrolling. You have to.
Right. People don't, even if they love your content, doesn't mean they're going to do anything. They're going to act upon it. So let's now talk about the hot topic of today, and that's artificial intelligence. It's booming. OpenAI is out there. It's that platform. They built this amazing platform. They have all these different products on the platform. One of them that they just launched, ChatGPT, is an incredible marketing tool. Why don't you talk a little about how entrepreneurs out there can leverage this?
Well, first off, you should know is that ChatGPT, with all of its firepower and all of its grace and stuff like that, is not the silver bullet that we dream it will be. It's amazing and it's fascinating, and I'm going to talk to you about that. But right behind it, Google is creating their own version of ChatGPT called Palm. They spell it capital P-A, capital L-M. And the horsepower behind that seems like it's going to be, it's like, hold on to your hat. And what it's going to be is it's going to be a bunch of AI titans wrestling to make the technology better and better and better.
Google can't afford to let Microsoft run away with the prize.
The problem is that you can, as everyone's excited about ChatGPT and they're talking about, the valuation of the stuff, they haven't talked about monetization yet. And so one of the problems with AI is that when I can get quick and simple information simply by typing it in, have you seen a banner ad? Have you seen an advantage? And so what's going to have to happen here is that if this is the Google killer, if this is going to replace how you get answers to frequently asked questions, eventually these companies, the powers that be that create this amazing technology, they can't forgo their bread and butter. And so what we're going to have to see here is how this is either adopted or condemned. And let me tell you how it can be condemned.
Okay.
You're even seeing this at the college level, is that kids are turning in term papers that's AI written.
Oh, I know. It's so easy. And even, and it might, a lot of them, they use the AI for the first draft, and it saves them a huge amount of time. But what it doesn't do is they're not going out and they're researching the paper. They're not structuring it. They're not thinking it through. So all the benefits of actually writing it are being taken on by the AI, which is really detrimental to education. So and there's already a lot of people talking about the dangers of this.
And then the dangers of it as well is that from a business and an entrepreneur is I go and I get onto ChatGPT and I'm totally enamored, and it saves my life and it saves me time, and I type all this stuff up. The same people that are talking about this are also talking about watermark technologies, or basically code that is going to be able to decipher that this content was AI generated.
And this is important. And I think you're bringing up a really good point, because first of all, like I can write a blog article now in literally a couple minutes using AI. So I can, say, I want to talk about pink flamingos, blah, 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 and their feathers, right? And it will write up a blog article about pink flamingos and how great their feathers are. But any subject you want, you yourself could come out with a bunch of marketing tips, all written by AI, post them on your website, and literally have them as SEO bait, right? For SEO, for anybody searching, which is great right now. But you just pointed out a really important thing. The internet's, first of all, going to get spammed up, right? Because all these AI written articles end up sounding the same. They're pretty much the same thing. Secondly, it's not good for Google or anybody else searching to just come up on generic AI written stuff that really doesn't have the perspective or knowledge or experience of individuals. So what you're talking about is, and I've heard this too, watermarking, right? Digital watermarking, which doesn't mean a watermark. It means like embedded code or something, or a way for them to detect that that article was written by AI. And what that means is that companies like Google will probably penalize you for posting them, or at least not index them highly.
And they already put a shot across our bow because they already talked about the helpful content update. All right, that's just step one of a larger argument that's going to say, okay, right now we will tolerate AI inspired. You know what I mean? But what they're going to find here is the same way they were looking at duplicate content in the past is that they're going to be able to, as they spider your site, to be able to figure out, hey, how much of your thought leadership is actually original? How much are,
and if 90% is AI generated, they're going to rank your site really low. Right.
And here's
they're going to know, because simply it doesn't even take a digital watermark, because you could do it on a digital watermark. But literally, if they see the same, roughly like the same content on your site that's on 100 other sites, then they're just going to know. Google's going to know, okay, pass this over.
They're also going to look at the cadence from which you're publishing content. So they have indexed your website maybe hundreds or thousands of times. And then all of a sudden, you have this massive uptick of thousands of articles written that's 2,000 words a piece.
Yes.
You don't think that that's going to create a red flag for them?
Yes, it's going to.
My point is that
and there's companies now creating AI generated video. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's going to spam up YouTube. And at the end of the day, YouTube isn't going to want people to be exposed to that content. So it's going to be the similar sort of thing.
And so there's going to be certain indicators that you're going to have to look for. So what I would say is, am I saying you don't use ChatGPT? I'm like, no. What you said is that ChatGPT can be your first draft, but you're going to have to bring value above and beyond that. And then you really, really, really have to understand your brand and your messaging more than ever, because what I hope you're doing is taking that piece of content and then marrying it with your unique selling proposition, your brand, and what makes you special. Because if not, it's just awareness level content. So imagine there's 3 levels of content. We talk about this quite a bit: awareness level content, consideration level content, and decision level content. ChatGPT is going to be great for awareness level content. This is educational pieces, but it's, again, ChatGPT, their knowledge base stopped at 2001. I don't know, 2021. I don't know if you know that or not.
I do. I went on their site, and they say it because you'll search for more recent stuff, and it's not. They're going to release a GPT-4, of course, which will be more updated, and they'll continually do that. But yes, you're right. The version out there right now is old. You don't get the past couple years.
So consideration level content, which should be about 70% thought leadership and about 30% your company, what makes your special sauce your special sauce. This is where people are already in the awareness to say, hey, I want a new product and service. I'm now considering, what should I get? And so here's my options, and here is this company's flavor on what you should be doing. And then decision level content, which basically says, hey, choose my company over my competitors, right?
Yes.
Consideration level content and decision level content cannot be built out of ChatGPT.
Right.
And
those are specific to your business.
And what I'm afraid of is businesses are going to be like, I can create content in a snap, and then all of a sudden they get really rash, and they basically cut the people that are really flavoring their content with what makes them unique.
Yes.
And their consideration level
And
content
then their
and their
service,
decision level
their
content.
product or service sounds like every other product or service out there.
That's right.
Why would anybody choose them over anybody else? The content isn't really serving its purpose. It
That's
gets
right.
people to click, but not to act.
Yep. And so I have this thing here, and this is just this, I'm going to, for the audio listeners, I'm going to try to verbally say it. And then to our video listeners, I'll have this graphic to show you. But this was something that Go Globe was a company put out every year. And literally every 60 seconds, these numbers were 2020. So I believe these numbers are probably double. YouTube, more than 400 hours of video are uploaded every single minute. That's 700 hours video watched. Facebook, 243,000 photos, 70,000 hours of video content. Google, 3.8 million searches. All of these platforms, every single minute, are churning content in ways that you could ever believe. Now, that is people working hard on content. Now, when you can do it in a click of a button, it's going to be in their systemic best interest to stay alive, to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Right. It's going to be in their best interest to filter that out so that it doesn't go in your feed. Yep. Facebook doesn't want the feeds junked up on Facebook or Instagram or none of the social, Twitter doesn't want that. Google doesn't want their searches junked up. Yeah. So you're right. And what they're going to be doing is using AI to determine which content is kind of generically written by AI, and that content will be filtered out. You won't see it.
But here's where it is. Here's where it's going to be useful for any really great writer is that when you go and you develop content, the critical factors that I believe that make really great content is 1, a strong argument, 2, data-rich content.
And
the data-rich content, the data-rich content, you can literally go into ChatGPT and say, give me statistics that relate to this. What are some contrarian points of this view? What is this optimistic view of this? What is the pessimistic view of this? And so what it should do is it should flavor your research, and then that should flavor your data, and that should make your content ultimately better.
And this is a really good point you're bringing up. And I think this is your main argument, is that use ChatGPT and other AI tools that like Google will release and others as tools to make your writing better, but don't have them do all the writing, because they're great research tools, right? Like you said, you could Google it and try to find that data. You could ChatGPT it. You can take the best from both, right, of that data, put it into your stuff just like you would do now. But don't rely on them to write the whole article because it's going to come out spammy.
I would say that it cut your research time down by 30 to 50%.
Absolutely. I'm using it now.
If you're a writer, that's time well spent. And so this tool has amazing power. Just don't think that you can just click, write, publish, pray.
Right.
Because you're gonna wake up one day, it's like building your house on sand, and one day an algorithm change is just going to wipe your house away.
Right. It's going to be, you'll get away with it for the next year, maybe, and
3 months.
Yeah. Who knows how fast Google acts, but at a certain point, you're right. It's just, it's not going to be there for you. So you'll have wasted all the time you put into that.
That's right. That's right. But, just like how a calculator never, when we were doing accounting work on an abacus, the calculator came along and they weren't saying like, accountants will never exist anymore because we have a calculator. I'm like, no, a calculator is a better tool than an abacus. And a great accountant will use that calculator to do great things and spreadsheets and things like that. That's what you have to kind of view, that all of these tools are just that. They should be tools.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because, I've been using Dolly too, the other AI for generating art, right? And provided by OpenAI. And I tried to get some art out of there that I could use, for different projects by putting in all the keywords. I want Einstein and I want a picture of the universe with stars. And it came up with some really cool stuff, but it was it wasn't like working with an artist. It was never right on, right? Because it's very hard to take words. What it was great for is reference art. So if I had ideas that referenced that I would want, then my artist who knows my brand and understands our company and understands our goals could take this reference art and say, oh, oh yeah, I can do this, and I can actually create some art
Yep.
for your website that actually
Yep.
ties into your brand and your main message
Yep.
based on this. The other thing I found it really useful for was not, again, creating a logo, like come up with a logo
Mhm.
for me, you know, because then it just come up with generic logos. What I did was I scoured the web for different styles I liked of logos. And then Dolly allowed me to upload them into Dolly and
Yeah.
literally do variations on them.
Yeah.
So I could create a unique logo based on a style that I had already decided matched my brand and everything else, but was
Super
unique.
cool, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you something here. This is something I talk about quite a bit because I've developed quite a name for myself with AI. But
Great.
in 1903, the Wright brothers flew an airplane 10 feet off the ground for about 100 yards, right?
Yeah.
One of the greatest innovations of all time. 66 years later, we were on the moon.
There you go.
This AI technology isn't going to be able to do everything you always dreamed right now, but we're just 10 feet off the ground.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? 66 years later, we were on the moon, but even today, we don't still have flying cars. Like people, right? And people thought flying cars were like around the corner, you know? So there's certain things this AI will do that blow us away, you know, take us to another planet. And then there's other things, the AI that we think it should do that it'll never get right. It just won't do.
I know. But it's an indicator of the amount of speed it took us 66 years. And I'm saying that's not a long time. In the digital world, 66 years is like
6 years.
Year.
You're very optimistic.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's a very short amount of time, the way things are accelerating. Yeah, in our lifetime, it's going to be amazing what AI can do. And the big thing is, how do human beings work with AI most effectively? And I think that's, you know, your main point. You know, AI is yet another tool out there, and how can we use it how can we use it to our best advantage and in terms of marketing? Before we wrap up,
let me give you my hope real quick, because I want to be optimistic.
Yes.
Is that when I look at technology here, I have a very pessimistic side. I'm scared of what AI is going to do to displace jobs. So if I come off like this complete optimist, I don't want to get yelled at by like, oh my gosh, this guy has his head totally in the sand. I'm aware of the Armageddon side of AI. Just know Skynet, all that stuff. I know, I get it. But when you think about your job and you think about my job, when someone pays you for your services and when someone pays me for my services at $150 an hour, in theory, they're getting what we offer. But if I was really honest, they're getting maybe 20% of our potential. Essentially what happens is their budget stopped. Now what hopefully would happen is the technology will allow us to get to a higher base. So now we're able to do things that we never had the budget to do before, because the AI is giving us a stronger foundation, a better starting block. We're starting ahead of the curve, as opposed to doing foundational things.
It's making the iterative process that you have to go through when you're doing everything, designing a marketing campaign, creating art, doing, you know, writing copy, whatever you're doing, making it so much faster, right? So and it's going to accelerate the capabilities of all of us. Like, and enhance, like you say, what we can do. Like, because look, you hire an artist to create your logo, it might have taken them, you know, a week to create a really good logo through all the iterative processes. Now they may be able to do it in a day, what they could do in a week with AI, because they can go so fast. They don't have to move all the pixels around. They can use AI tools, you know, in Photoshop, and all these other graphic applications are incorporating AI. Same with writing, same with marketing, same with, you know, literally every coding now. You know, AI can write code. It's the ChatGPT can literally, you can describe in text the code you want and it will come out with the code. Code is never perfect. It never understands everything. You're still going to need to be a coder to read that code, to tweak it, to adapt it, but it can make a coder so much more productive.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a brave new world we're entering with the AI, and we're just on the cusp. You know, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. Would you like to let our audience know how they can reach you and your social media, everything else?
Sure. Well, first off, my company is Farotech, Farotech. You can reach us at farotech.com. You can email me at info@farotech.com. And then I have a podcast called Digital Marketing Masterclass, which is stronger on YouTube than it is on the podcast channels. But my job there is to just kind of simplify this wild world of marketing into very digestible, bite-sized pieces so that you can apply it to your business.
I hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends. You can help us create more great content by subscribing and sharing. Also, if you want to access our online startup program, our investor network, and our entrepreneur resources, just come to founderspace.com.